Alright folks, this is a video that's taken a couple months to get done. I was blessed by my daughter being able to get out on the farm with a raven and take a nice tom. It's got about a 10-inch beard, inch and inch and a half to inch and 3/4 spur. My neighbor said it's probably about a 3-year-old bird, and he certainly knows birds better than I do, but it was absolutely beautiful. Big, massive bird. Had a spread on it. I was over 4 feet almost, and a really tall, meaty bird. And we were blessed to have it on the farm. So I wanted to do something for my daughter that was nice. I wanted to try to mount it. Well, I'm not the best, but here goes. So I cut the feet off it, and I mixed them in a 50% salt, 50% borax mix. Borax being a salt too, and using natural salts. I stuck the feet in those, and then I did the same for the beard end after cleaning them up as best I could. And the beard was probably the trickiest part, just because I wanted to keep it kind of the way it came off the bird, which was crooked. It kind of curled under the bird. But, it's what it is. So I put those in jars, and I was going to leave them go for, as long a duration as those need to. I'm guessing, by the way everybody said online, and from the help of my neighbor, I probably only had to go about a month. But unfortunately, as many of you know, I had some traumatizing experiences in my life with a tractor accident, and it took me a while to get to it. As far as figuring out the fan, it wasn't as difficult as I thought. Kind of cleaned up a couple feathers, had to kind of lightly wash them. And then it was just a matter of figuring out how to kind of nail it down. And what I learned is that horseshoe nails worked really well into this plywood. And I put 3 of them, 1 in the dead center, and then 2 on the sides to hold it in place. And I really did my work to just kind of clean up the feathers the best I could before nailing this down, because I'm not doing this with a hot glue technique. I really want to kind of just make it natural for her and, have it. Obviously, you take pictures in case something ever happens to your fan, because, it can look like crap too. But we did the best we could. So I opened this up. Once I got it opened up, I tacked it down. And I realized as I was going through it that I probably had a little bit more material than I needed to work with. So that was kind of my biggest challenge, was getting a little bit more meat off the tail. I was able to get the gland out pretty easy. There's a gland back there that everybody on YouTube says get out. But I took a little bit more, probably back feathers than I needed to of tail feathers. And I mounted it though. I chose to mount it with all that on because I didn't want to wreck the look. I figured that once it dries out, I could cut across the bottom and kind of figure that out. So it was just kind of a, gosh, how do I say it, artsy project. But it wasn't tough. It was kind of interesting to do. Being that the turkey, uses these muscles to open this and close it, I was able to just kind of follow suit. And really what I was looking for was just to make sure that it looked good, it looked clean. I had it in the right place, especially the feathers underneath. I wanted them to lay just right. That was a little tricky to do, but we figured it out. We got it in place and got it done. And then, again, how you preserve this is up to you. You could cut all this meat off and then turn around and use Bondo on it. I don't know what to think of that. I'm not an auto guy. Probably worked great. You could turn around, and I've seen some people use some super glue type products on it. And I've seen a ton of people who use hot glue on it. And that's fine too. I mean, all those techniques, folks, are perfectly fine. For me, I just really wasn't sure that's the way I wanted to go. And I don't know. Kind of wanted to do it homeschool, so went on to a couple of my blog sites with some homesteaders. Talked to my neighbor, Charlie. He's done this several times, and his looked really good. And he's even done the hot glue technique. So I got some advice from him. I got it all nailed down. And then I chose to take a canning salt, natural canning salt, mix it 50-50 with the borax, I should say, borax, like washing soap. that you can get at any like hardware or grocery store. It's in a box. I made it 50-50 and then I just smothered this thing. And I mean, I put it on somewhat heavy, figuring that I could probably brush it off or use the air tool and get it off later. And like I said, I'm just using farrier nails, so kind of a wide-headed square nail, and just putting a couple of them in, and then I'm just really working to get that extra meat off. I'm right up against the shaft of those big, I don't know what, tail feathers, whatever you want to call them. Just trying to get absolutely as much meat off as I can without destroying the shafts of that the feathers were in. This was the most time-consuming part of it, but it did go well for me. Just dump the salt on, kind of spread those feathers, and again, I went down the back a little bit. That's fine. It's probably a little too much. I get it. I'll end up cutting that off later, as you'll see, but you know, I wanted to get it right. Just it's precautionary. And I just kind of poured this stuff on now. Again, this is a mixture of salt and borax soap. Same thing that's in the jars that the legs are sitting in and the beard is sitting in. So then, 2 months later, due to many things in my life, my daughter here is helping me. We're taking out the feet. And I wanted the feet in a special position. So when I did it, I taped them in and I filmed it. At least I thought I filmed it. Let me rephrase that. I had the camera out and thought I turned it on. And it sure appears that I didn't turn the camera on at all. So I don't have the feet in the taping and the putting these tongue depressors on. But I wanted these feet to fit a special way. The turkey fan wooden piece that I got to put these on does not have a place for feet, and I realized where I wanted the feet thanks to my neighbor again. Because of how he did the feet, I figured I kind of wanted to get them down there like nature, and thanks to Chuck's help. Chuck has been a wonderful neighbor, by the way. He deserves some kudos for a guy who calls him up at 10 o'clock at night and asks him to walk out to his turkey fan and take pictures of it and show me the back of it and stuff so I can figure the mess out. But here they are. They're all dried out. They're stuck in this place. And they're a little knobby on the end. So that's got to get taken care of. But we knew that was going to happen. We just wanted to get them dried the way we wanted. I don't know if you should be using a DeWalt saw like this. I don't know if it's meant to cut through bone. So we wouldn't recommend doing this. It's not probably the best way. My daughter then took a drill and she drilled through the kind of the, I guess I would say the dried tendon part between these two bones of the leg, because at least it feels like there's two bones there. And we drilled right through there so we could put a screw and get it mounted. She did this on both legs, and this will allow us to put them on the side like kind of like it's grabbing things. We really want to show off those those kind of like spurs and how nice and big they are, because they're really long on this guy. He's got a really good sized spur. I don't know how well it shows up on the thing, but it measures over an inch, which is fantastic, which is good. So we're going to take these two legs, and we've set them in those tongue depressors to get them to form the way we want. So when we put them on this board, the spurs will act like the holders, and then our hope is that we can take the arrow from a raven and stick it through it. So that's our goal. So she's just putting screws in here, and we're going to screw these guys down. Now there's no holes here, folks, for this. I had to put a little tap hole in it. As you can see, I'm not going above the piece of wood there. That way the fan can sit all the way down. I'm just having her screw them in, and then they'll just hang nice. Again, this was all kind of prepped a little bit. And on the other side of this board, you'll see it says the word Eastern because it's an Eastern turkey for us. That's what we have around here. And it'll be really nice and pretty for her. Kind of a keepsake forever. You know, she went through the effort. She hunted for almost 2 years straight. Spring, fall, and spring. Fall was really difficult for her and very frustrating. Spring hunting last year, she just wasn't very good at calling him in. And I spent some time with a guide down in Kentucky deer hunting that really knew a lot about turkeys, and I learned a lot from him. And thankfully, he gave me some great advice, and I brought it home to her, and it worked out really nice. And then where I'm going to go here for a second is I'm going to flip this over, and these are again we're just setting them up so we know where they go, and then we're going to test out the beard just to make sure that fits in there. So if that fits good, we're all good to go. We use a little maybe hot glue or something on that. And this is the fan. It's been sitting here for a while, just like this. Just kind of wiggling and pulling those nails out. So you can see I'm getting some use out of my right hand. I had a paperweight for a right arm for a while after my accident. Can't really lift much with it. I'm not supposed to lift over a couple pounds, but I'm sure trying to use it. Shoulder was badly damaged, folks. So I'm just gonna knock off this salt mixture. See how stiff it is? It's beautiful. I love how stiff it got. You'll see some nicks in some of the feathers, particularly on the one side has a little notch out of it. We didn't do it. Maybe it happened in the kill. We're not sure. She had a shot that looked like it missed the tail completely, which is great. But, feathers get damaged. So this is the way the bird was in the wild, if you want to know what I mean. And then what I need to do is I need to cut a straight line across here to fit into the piece of wood. So I'm just using a razor blade and getting that off. And I got a nice turkey fan here. It's pretty. A little bit of peach fuzz there, get off. And I'm going to see if I can get it mounted in. The way this one mounts, or the way the company wants it to mount, it mounts with kind of a small piece of wood behind it, which I did have to put another little piece of wood underneath it just to jack it up a little because my daughter's fan's a little bit thick, if you know what I mean. And then it's got a screw that goes into the actual fan to hold the fan from falling out. Gosh, it looks really nice the way this came together. So as you see, I put a little piece of wood underneath it to kind of bring that out a little bit, just because of how thick this tail fan was. And I know I could have taken a little bit more meat off it, but like I said, I was scraping those long tail feathers and I just didn't want to hurt it. So there's basically two screws on the back of this. They're going all the way down into the first piece of wood. And then there's one screw that's in the fan itself. My daughter here is putting it in. Tried to center it the best we could. The tail isn't perfectly square, when it comes to centering, just the way God made the turkey. So just screwing that in there to give it some stability. Now it really looks nice, folks. We're going to pick this thing up. See if we can get the tail in it. Feathers where we want. Perfect. Let me turn it around. I think we're just missing beard. I had one feather up at the top that had a small white spot on the feather that was actually in the feather. It's just kind of a uniqueness to it. Now we're just getting the beard hot glued in. I put some hot glue on the bottom side of it there, just a nice little blop. Stick that beard right in there. There, perfect. I bought this mount board on Amazon. Wasn't that expensive, folks. So now I've got kind of the feet coming down the side, kind of around the beard protecting it. I got the beard down the center. I forget the actual length of it, but it's over 10 inches. And then I've got the spurs sticking straight up at you so that I can mount this the way I want. Oh, God bless America for its freedoms, folks, where you can let your daughter at the age of 15 go out and hunt and do something like this. So here it is up on the wall. Her bolt is in it. This is my daughter Tabitha. She's the one who was blessed by this shot. I got the American flag right next to it. I thought that was really a good way to show it off. Shows off our freedoms and our ability for a young girl like this to go out and hunt for 2 years, a spring, fall, spring, and finally take home a big tom. I hope you enjoyed my mount, folks. Please like, subscribe, and follow along on our family farm and homestead.